Welcome to Think Tank with Scott and Will.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Will. And today we're going to be talking about the ego.
Mhm.
We're sitting outside today, so we're going to move this inside reasonably soon. Thought we'd get some fresh air.
Not so much sunshine anymore, but a bit of fresh air and a bit of birdsong, I suppose. Never heard anyone.
Yeah. The ego. Well, what's your understanding of the ego, Scott?
Well, my understanding of the ego is it's basically part of yourself, right? Yourself is put into a number of constructs. Now, what appears to be a unified whole, which is you as a person, is broken up to a number of different things. You've got your regular day-to-day self. Then you've got your ego, which is basically, it pretty much tries to protect itself by
making you believe that it is you.
Yeah, that's it. Like affirming that, you can't take that. It's your pride. It's what drives you. It basically, some of the time, it basically means when you're being pig-headed and you're being pig-headed, but you do it anyway. It's very ego-driven. It's a part of you, basically. Then you've got your other thing where it's basically your center, which is when you sort of relax, when you meditate, when you have a deep thinking, when you sort of get that gut feeling deep inside. That's generally your center, which is basically a calm, collected part of yourself. Then you've got what's called, it's from Jung. It's a guy that was after Freud, and he talked about the shadow, which is basically the rejected, unwanted parts of yourself that you lock away. And for you to have a unified self, you sort of need to I suppose get an idea and get a bit of a connection with all those parts of yourself so you can sort of understand who you are within. Well, that's basically my understanding of the ego and how it fits into things.
Damn. All right. So do you associate with the ego as being a part of yourself?
Well, it is. I mean...
Is it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, it's like when what you think is really a whole unified self is really a whole bunch of different archetypes within you. And I suppose with some self-reflection and discovery, you can sort of pick up on those. You've got your jovial self, you've got your negative, passive-aggressive selves, you've got your really risk-taking versions of selves. And while they appear to be you, because naturally they're all a part of you, you've got a whole bunch of different expressions of who you are inside. They appear to be, all intents and purposes to be you, because they are you. They're just different expressions of you,
Plato once said that each person is the king of their own universe.
What is? There's no other perspective that you can access except from your own perspective. Even reading about someone else's perspective, you're still funneling it through your own perspective.
Which is why Schadenfreude is that how you say it?
Schadenfreude?
That's it. Schadenfreude. When
I'm
you
not
take
sure that's entirely right pronunciation, but
the phonetical pronunciation of it at the very least is Schadenfreude.
Yeah, it's Schadenfreude.
It's German. It's a German word that pretty much means you take pleasure in another person's pain, and that has been sort of like discounted because
now $2.99 at the bargain store.
Well, yeah, no longer $2.99 at the bargain store because you can't disassociate with yourself, because you are the king in your own world, and you're looking at it through your eyes, and the bad stuff isn't happening to you, and that's a good thing, which you find funny.
That's it. I mean, yeah. I think it comes back a bit more to will to power kind of thing. I mean, I read a bit of Nietzsche, so that's a bit of an angle I tend to take for some things, because I've just read a lot of them. But I've read a few philosophical ideas on Schadenfreude and how it's not a thing, and I don't really believe that it is. I think you're more delighting in the effect that forces have on this particular person, and he has been brought low, and you get a satisfaction from that. Basically, it's it's not happening to me. I'm grateful that my power hasn't been lost, and you're laughing because you find humor in the fact that his power would be lower, but it's more really a relief that yours hasn't been, that you haven't been affected.
The easiest way to gain power is to lower the power of people around you.
That's it. Don't be dragged down to people's levels, folks. Follow your own path. Back
to the ego, though. The ego can take many forms. Like you don't really read Osho, do you?
I've read a little bit of it. I've got his stuff to read and a bunch of his the little 21 meditations you put onto him. I must admit it's gotten lost in my email list, so I haven't read that much of him. But he seems like a smart guy.
He is very smart. Talks very slowly.
Interviews with him, he seems very good. He's like a Hindu mystic kind of looking guy, but quite funny. He's got a YouTube video on talking about the word F, and it's really hilarious. Honestly, he's a funny guy, and I think his heart is in the right place, and his head is in the right place too.
Well, I've lost my train of thought, but I'm going to continue on a new one. He's like the ego. Sometimes the ego manifests in. I'm doing a little bit of Osho, a little bit of Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
The ego will attach itself to things. So when you disassociate from a certain thing, the ego will quickly find a new thing for it to attach itself to. So it's always there. The Zen monk.
Well, there's no destroying the ego. I mean, you can't really destroy the ego, much like you can just. It's a part of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be like destroying your own arm. Only nothing can hurt your arm. You know, that's a bad analogy. Yeah. But okay, we'll do it from this perspective. Well, what do you think the ego is?
I think the ego is not you. I think you are that thing deep inside that when you become into a meditative trance, you start to get in touch with the things that you are, in essence, the true you. And I think over, cultures, society, certain ways of living, we have layered on a whole bunch of shit that gets us further and further and further away from what you actually are, so that you become almost a shadow of what you are.
Okay. I don't really think in that perspective, though, that the ego would be aside from you. The ego would just be a bad representation of your maladaptive fears rather than the actual... It's just a bad representation of you. It's rather than you coming from within, from a good, positive place with all the answers.
Maybe
it's
we're both
you
right.
Coming from a bad place with superficial answers, and you basically trying... It's like you trying to avoid pain, trying to avoid fear, so you puff up to make yourself look strong.
Yeah, like the bird.
Yeah.
You know, the big puffy is that a baboon?
Lots of animals do it. You know, it's a display that says, I'm big, I'm strong, don't mess with me. Because you're going to get hurt.
Scott.
But, you know, they're still freaking out. You know, they're still, dear God, what's going to happen?
Even then, at the same time, when I say that person's got an ego, what do you think? Like, the first thing that comes to your mind is big, like, up himself, uppity, gonna fuck these bitches up sort of dude, or?
Well, yeah, contemporary that is. I mean, there's different... It's like the same thing with anything in English. There's different associations with it. We can talk about the ego as I suppose, a social, mental sort of construct, or we can talk about an ego as someone who's arrogant and egotistical, where they're putting on a big display, so don't hurt me.
I think that's arrogance.
Yeah.
Not ego.
That's the difference. There is a difference. Yeah. You can have a big ego, but...
sometimes the ego can, like... Osho says this. The ego can be like... You can be that little kid who was beaten by his dad, or whatever, so he's socially awkward and stuff, and you could have the biggest ego in the whole world.
Yeah.
You could be like too scared to talk to women, or you could be like really self-conscious about yourself, and your ego could be huge because your ego is attaching itself to those feelings. Like, it hasn't got any feelings of I'm the best, so it attaches to the nearest thing that it can attach itself to.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like a band. You're puffing up as a band-aid over your wounds.
Yeah,
and sooner or later you start thinking the band-aid is you.
Yeah, that's it.
There's a great, we'll have to do this after. There's a great discussion of that on the ego from a blog I really like. I sent to you called The Rawness. He covers the ego and breaking it down really well. This guy's very intelligent and very accessible if you haven't sort of read deeply. He's not academic kind of guy. He's intelligent, he's well read, but he doesn't, make it bigger than it needs to be. He's just really intelligent.
Rawness is pretty good. He's not bad. He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk about the ego, I talk about to someone who's not like spiritually or philosophically inclined, you'd be like, oh, that guy's good. He's ego driven. He's not acting. His ego's acting, and they'd be like, I don't quite see it. Like sometimes they'll be quiet and stuff, or they're just like regular people, but every now and then they'll say something. And I'll be like, well, that's not them talking. That's like they've made the decision to allow their ego to speak for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tend to find often when you actually come from a calm, collected place, you're not being egotistic about it. You're not sort of using your ego primarily. I mean, obviously, whenever you say something, whenever you talk, you've got a goal in mind, and you sort of want to look impressive, even if you're not thinking about it too much.
Of course, everybody wants to look good.
Yeah, everyone wants to look good, wants to look good for that girl, wants to look impressive, wants to be respected at their job, all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's just a natural human feeling. But there's a part where it becomes a bit of a negative thing, you know what I mean? Where you just want to impress and go out of your way to look good in a negative way when it doesn't even benefit you.
But because you're looking at it from a third person's perspective, you can see what's actually going on because you're not infected by the ego that's currently activated, or the pain body. Even pain bodies are something. We'll get into that later on. It's a bit complicated, very spiritual. We'll not get into it yet.
But really, like I was saying, it depends how you're coming from. I mean, you can think about it yourself. You can even see yourself when you're doing it. What am I doing this?
Not all the time. Every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends how self-reflective you are. I mean,
sometimes I do it. Sometimes I'm like, this isn't really me talking, and I'll mentally battle with myself about, no, you don't need to say this. This isn't you. This is your ego. And sometimes I'll win, and sometimes I'll be like, stuff it. I don't care. I'm just going to say it because I want to feel good.
A lot of it is you sort of puff up to make yourself look good so people will notice you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's not a healthy thing a lot of the time. I mean, your ego ideally is a tool, a useful tool that says, okay, I need to get to this goal, or I want to be this. So I'm going to use, all the resources at my disposal to get me there. Because
that's what I want. And wanting is something that the ego does.
Yeah, that's it. It's very good at saying, nah, I'm not going to take that crap. This is bullshit. I deserve better. I'm the lead player in my own story here. I'm the important one. I'm the hero. I'm the one who gets it done. And you go out and do it. But you have to be aware that the ego is just a construct to protect you from yourself being in pain. I mean, often they're people who puff up and, show no fear, all that sort of stuff. You're just pretty much hiding your vulnerability, hiding your pain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Insecurities are often associated with the ego.
Yeah.
Like, we all know that the guy at the gym who's roided himself up at the eyeballs, and he's always talking about, like, the classic arrogant ego.
Yeah.
We all know that those guys are probably the most insecure people around.
Well,
so what sort of reflection is that on you when you give in to that battle inside your head?
Yeah.
I find when I see people who are very ego activated, I find that when I think about what they're doing and how they're going about it is often a reflection of an insecurity that I can see.
Well, that's it. I mean, and usually the more egotistical you are, the more arrogant, the more brittle you are. I mean, the easier it is to shatter. I mean, people with a lot of ego, a lot of arrogance will react, like, not necessarily physically, but violently towards someone calling their integrity, calling their
bluff.
Yeah, calling their bluff, basically.
Yeah, very much. I was going to say the same thing. People who, actually, there's something else I wanted to talk about. It's not supposed to apply to the ego, but it's an interesting thought process.
Okay.
Except in our previous video, I can't remember which one it was. I believe it was dealing with negative emotions, our third video that we ever made.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a long time ago, hey.
It was when you think about it.
Yeah. Anyway, I talked a little bit about Eckhart's Tolle view of emotions and heartbreak, how you have the option to yield to the emotion, or you have the option to resist the emotion. Now, my mum had a party last night, and I was talking to my auntie, lovely lady, and I had an epiphany. I had a philosophical epiphany, Scott. And I was sitting there, and like these words made a lot of sense to me, but I didn't know why they made sense to me. And then, boom, it hit me, and I sort of figured it out. I'm going to share it with you here now. So when you yield to an emotion, like, that is acceptance. It's just like, this is what's happening, it's going to happen, or it's happened, or it's happening, or it's to happen, and I just have to allow that, right? Which is kind of complicated and you don't understand, but that's not the part that you need to understand. What you need to understand is when you resist an emotion, it's like, I don't want to feel this way.
You lock up.
Yeah, you lock up, and you lock out from that emotion because you're specifically resisting allowing it to happen. And when you resist that emotion, you become resentful towards that emotion because you're resenting the fact that it's present. And when you resent its presence as an emotion, you resent the reason for it being there, which is usually an event or a situation. And when you start resenting that event or situation, you'll usually start, your ego will activate and will usually start justifying itself by associating people with events, such as, this guy cut me off. This guy's name's Joe who lives at 2nd Fake Street. Joe's a cunt because he... Oh, shit. I shouldn't have said that. Joe's a C word because he cut me off. Like, you associate the person with the ego. And so, not... like, by resisting an emotion, you become resentful to the emotion and thus force the situation and thus forth, you become resentful towards actual people as well.
Now, I was thinking about this while you were saying it. I figure I'd try to give an example of that. 'Cause, I mean, obviously it's fairly lengthy, the process. Okay, let's say... Oh, man, I almost lost it. Let's say as a kid, all right?
You go to your auntie's place and you want to have a chocolate chip cookie. And you can't have the chocolate chip cookie because your auntie has this strict rule that you can't have candy or sweets until after dinner. Therefore, you don't like her because you're feeling an emotion that your ego is like, well, the ego is like, well, I want that damn cookie right now, but you're not getting that damn cookie. The situation is you're not getting what you want. The person who's stopping you from, like the person who's put you into the situation of you not getting what you want is your auntie. And all this is because you resisted the emotion of not having what you wanted, which is like, what emotion would that be? Loss?
Like the example I was thinking of, okay, let's say you're a little kid and you've got a mum who's never at home because she's always out, always sleeping with strange men and always getting a next fix.
Like, it sounds like she's pretty ego-driven at the moment.
Yeah, but let me continue. Okay, now you're sad that you're not receiving the love from your mother, that she's not there for you.
Yeah.
So
this is good. I actually like this. You're a lot better at creating these situations than I am.
Oh, thank you. I almost lost it a couple of times, so I've just managed to find it again.
Oh, sorry.
No, all good. And so, for example, okay, you resentful of that because you're feeling hurt, but you resent feeling hurt, so instead you blame your mother.
Yeah, that's it.
Your mother's a bitch, and from that, you take it further. You associate that all women are bitches.
Yeah, that's it. Because
all women are sluts, and they're disgusting, and they're wrong. Of course, I don't believe this.
Yeah, of course.
And then you go, okay, now you're being rude and horrible to women. Because deep down, it's not because you disrespect women. It's not because of this and that. You just don't want to be hurt the way you were hurt when your mum didn't love you. It. So now you're treat women disgustingly.
Can I expand on this even more?
Sure, go for it.
It's not even the fact that...
It's not even about that specific woman.
No. It's not even about that at all. The fact that you're now resentful towards women in general, it's because you're resentful towards your mother and what she did, is because you're resentful to the situation. Because you're resentful towards the emotion that you felt.
Yeah, you don't want to feel hurt. You don't want to feel weak.
So you resisted the emotion, and then the point that I'm really, really trying to get at here is if you resist an emotion or state, it will brew into a big, long chain of events. It's like a tiny little snowball at the top of the hill.
I mean, you can't squeeze hurtful emotions down. So lock them away. It'll be inside you emotionally. It'll affect your decision making. It'll be inside you physically. Now, I was with a lady a while back, and we had a romantic relationship, and it was good. But I was having a lot of tension in my chest, and I was just she's
physically,
like, physically,
which can be a manifestation of something else.
And it was. I had a bad breakup, and I wasn't dealing with it well. I hadn't even realized I wasn't dealing with it well. It seemed fine to me, and it's like, okay, here it is in your chest. It's right there. Okay, you're holding on to pain. Okay, what you need is just to relax and let it go. And, it starts to come up a bit, and I go to swallow because it feels like it's like, don't swallow, let it come. Let it come. Let it out. Just let it out. And slowly I sort of let it out, and I cried.
Yeah, crying really as a release.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize it was there. It was like a tiny bit, and it was just like the floodgates open. I cried pathetically.
It's coping mechanisms, as my coach would say.
And, I mean, obviously, as silly as it seemed, it was really
therapeutic.
Yeah, it was a really good release. I mean, really, I didn't accept the pain when it happened. I tried to go, no, it's okay, and blocked it away. I resisted the emotion rather than letting it out naturally. It's all right to cry. It's all right to have a physical reaction, an emotional reaction to events that make you sad. It's not all stiff upper lip crap.
I got a little mentor of mine who who'll meditate and then who can bring up an incredibly old emotion, cry about it, and then move past it.
Well, often that's what you need. You need to allow it to flow through you, that emotion that hurt you. And I mean, a lot of what the ego is, to me, seems to be, instead of it allowing to go through, your ego attempts to shield you from that emotion by pushing things away. Yeah, by saying, I'm the king ape, I'm the man, I'm the cool dude.
The ego saves you today.
Don't hurt me. Yeah.
The ego is focused on today.
Yeah.
It doesn't think about tomorrow. The ego lives in the moment. Sometimes, not all the time. So the ego is pushing the emotion away so you can get past today. But 12 years later, your resentment towards women is a manifestation of that one thing that you shouldn't have pushed down.
That's it. But the thing is, the ego wants to protect itself. It wants to protect its way of doing things. So it will justify to you, not that it's really you just don't want to be hurt. It can't be that I want to be hurt. I'm a strong man. Look at me. I work out. I'm great.
Yeah.
Look at these stupid women. They're weak. I'm not weak. I'm strong.
I don't actually care about these women anyway. They're just vessels to me.
That's it. They're just
like she was like another good one was my friend was at a club and some dude asked for her number and she's like, oh look, honestly, look, I've been in a tough spot. I'm not really interested. And then he's like, well, you're a slut anyway. And you're not really that good looking. I didn't even want your number.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah, so it's like, no, how dare this person reject me? How can I not be the top gun?
Yeah, how am I not the best, not the hero of this story? How dare you talk down to me? I'm the king, I'm the man.
Yeah, guys do it a lot. Guys have big egos, but I find like
it's hard to accept rejection.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to accept, damn, my ego was deflated. I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling vulnerable.
And that's when your pain body activates. Pain body is something. Ooh, man. I was planning on not talking about this, but I think it's really important.
Yeah, we'll spend a couple of minutes on it, Will. It's an interesting concept, pain body.
Okay, so it's an idea that I learned from Eckhart Tolle. Oh man, how do I say this? Okay, so
you already said it to me. I can cover it if you like.
No, I got this. I got this. It's like pure negative energy, and it requires negative energy to grow. To feed, and this thing can never live or die. It's just there. It's present. It's not being. It is not being. It is present. And when it's like finger locked with the ego, it uses the ego to create negative energy so that it can feed on that negative energy, whether that be in you or in another person. And two pain bodies, like your pain body, Scott, and my pain body, Scott, may interact with each other and then feed off each other. But its primary source of energy comes from the person within. So it'll be like your five, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a situation.
Like, for example, it'll be like, okay, I feel bad, so I goad people to make them terrible, which causes negative energy. But I feel guilty about that, which causes more negative energy.
Yeah, and it's a cycle. It creates a cycle. So you'll be put in a situation and then I'll get angry about it. And that anger is a negative emotion. Well, not a negative emotion, but like negative energy comes from anger. And so when you get angry about a situation that you don't really need to get angry about, you create negative energy that your pain body feeds off.
Okay.
And then your pain body activates your ego, which creates more shitty situations for you. That's like, no, I'm top gun. How dare they do this sort of thing? And it'll feed off those negative energies.
I mean, there might be
honestly, guys, we just paused because somebody walked through the room. We had a short conversation.
We've done it about 5 times on this episode.
I think we're doing pretty good, though.
Yeah, we almost sound like we didn't skip a bit. Sometimes this was a bit more.
This was a little bit odd because I had no idea what I was talking about. I know we're talking about pain bodies. Yeah.
There was always the example that I liked that you continued on. I'm not sure if this is Eckhart Tolle. Tell me if it is. Where it's basically, okay, once enough negative energy has amassed, it's it just gets big and fat, like something, and then it sort of gives birth or exhales like negative energy into an area, and now that area is negative.
So what happened was Eckhart Tolle was in his office, and somebody came in bitching and screaming and going crazy. And Eckhart, the way he says it is the easiest way to counter an active pain body, because you can have active pain bodies and dormant pain bodies. So it can be quiet and active for months and years, or it can be minutes and days. This one was really, really active. It was absorbing negative energy like crazy.
Yeah.
And he says the best way to reply to that active pain body is silence. And so she came into his office screaming and going crazy, and he just sat there and he let her. And the more she screamed, the more she realized that she's being completely senile. And she's starting to scream less and less, and eventually she sat there exasperated and she's exhausted. And then she's quiet for a bit. And then Eckhart just looks her dead in the eye and he goes, "Does any of this matter?"
Oh, man.
And but if you've ever seen his videos, he speaks very profoundly.
It's just sort of, does this matter?
Kind of, yeah. Like, does this matter? Does it? And she sits there and
this is real talk.
Yeah, this is real talk. And she looks down, and then she looks up, and she's like, "Not really, nah, thank you." Shakes his hand, leaves the office, and then he continued working. And then somebody walked into the office and was like, "Oh man, the air is so heavy here. It's dense. It makes me uncomfortable. Like, burn some sage, clear the energy, stuff like that."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'll just open a window or something like that." And then he went to dinner that night at a restaurant. And so the way that he said it was the negative energy, like once the pain body had deactivated because it was responded in an appropriate way, which deactivated the ego, the negative energy was like released out like steam into the room, and she left feeling light as a feather while this dense energy was floating around the room, and it can attach itself to things and people.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people that have done a lot of like nasty situations, like for example, let's say a house that's had victims of domestic violence in it for many years. Now you walk into a room where that's happened to it, it just feels wrong. It feels bad.
It feels like heavy.
Yeah. It feels bad. And if you want to get,
have you ever been in one of those rooms?
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it's awful.
Oh man, I've seen a few houses and it's just awful. You can't sleep around those areas because stuff sort of weird spiritual shit sort of pops out.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you believe in spiritualistic
it feels
ideas
ugly
or not. Yeah, but there's more to this story. He went to the restaurant and he ordered his meal, and then he looked at a guy across the room, and he kept looking back at him. He didn't really understand what was going on, so he dismissed the idea, And then out of he got his meal, it was the wrong meal or something, and then out of nowhere, he flips tables and shit.
What, Eckhart Tolle?
No, the other dude.
Okay.
And the other guy's like, "F this, you're a filthy Arabic whore," or whatever. Apparently there was some racism thrown in. And he's going off his nutter. Absolutely crazy. And then eventually they throw him out of the restaurant. And then the waiter, who's a bit shaken up or whatever, comes over to Eckhart to take his order. And Eckhart was sort of calmly watching the situation. And and the waiter jokingly said, "You didn't cause that, did you?" And then Eckhart, he started self-reflecting a little bit. He's like,
"Maybe I did." It's something like a Homer Simpson thing.
Maybe I did. But he was like, "Maybe I did."
Yeah.
Because maybe all that negative energy that was released in my office that I didn't get rid of attached itself to me, followed me to the restaurant, and then attached it to the most active pain body in the room. Maybe. I mean,
it's like if you ever go on a prison tour of old prisons.
Yeah, I like this idea that we're touching on, because this is very obvious. Have you my parents are very spiritual. My mum does psychic readings and stuff like that. My sister, she's best friends with a psychic. Personally, I was into that for a month because I was in a bad spot and I got desperate.
Yeah.
But then I realized that getting your future told to you brings you further away from the present moment, because you're focusing on as human beings, we're always the present moment is always infected with expectations of the future and memories of the past. The
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is bring yourself more expectations of the future.
I don't know, man. I think keeping your mind on the present moment. I think we're moving a bit away from the ego, but that's what happens with conversation.
Yeah.
I think keeping your mind on the present moment is a yielding. You constantly have to struggle to sort of seize the day, to wring the best out of the moment, to really appreciate it. And I think it was Eckhart Tolle. You sent me a video of this where it's basically like when you're washing your hands. And it was
Yes.
on Oprah or something like that.
Yeah.
When you're washing your hands, think about it. How does this water feel? How does the soap feel? Is the sun in your face? What are you feeling right now? What is happening? Be present physically, mentally, emotionally with this moment.
Yeah.
But I don't think psychic readings or what have you really detract from that. I think if you want to move towards a goal, a psychic reading says, okay, this goes to my ego, this goes to my belief in ritual, to believe in mysticism, which the human brain works really well with it. It's why major religions tend to be very mystic and, he's the God and he's always watching over you and all that. But I believe it, it goes, okay, the spirits are saying that in the future, if you do this, this will happen to you. And you're like, yeah, I'm on this path. I'm an acolyte trying to become a king. I'm a mystic. The gods are watching over me.
What if it's like because
I think it can be a tool to aid you in achieving a goal.
I think sometimes it's good. Yeah, like this is what you're doing and this is the result that's going to come from it. That's interesting stuff. But like I had family members and friends who would go to psychics and then the psychics would talk about me and then they'd come back and tell me what had happened.
My mum did that recently, actually.
Yeah.
A little while ago.
And then like they always mention family members and stuff and friends, And they're all like, oh, you're going to get together with this girl. This is her name. This is the day. And you're going to take her to this place. I'm like, well, all right. Didn't really act any differently to the way that I would have normally. And I found like it built expectations that made me stop feeling the present moment more.
I think if it's like that, if they ever give you specifics, I think it's diluting what you're supposed to feel.
Yeah, exactly. You're supposed to put them on the path and then allow them to find out what you already know.
That's it, you know what I mean? I suppose if there's any truth to it. And I mean, I don't know, I sort of believe that there is, but I don't have a definitive answer on that. I think, honestly, the best way to do it is go, okay,
I don't care
here's
if
a bunch of cards, here's a
know.
bunch of cards, here's what I think was going to happen, and then you interpret what they're saying and apply it to you. Actually, I have been doing this, or no, I haven't been doing this. And then use that as fuel to further your own goals.
Yeah.
I think it used any other way I think it's more important really for you to do it yourself.
I think it can bring up things that you're lying to yourself about.
Yeah.
Which, again, the ego hides from you. Because the ego is not willing to accept these parts of you.
Yeah, that's it. The ego is trying to protect itself. It's trying to further its own goals, which is to make you look big.
Make itself look big, because remember, you're it.
That's it.
It wants you to believe that it is you. The movie Revolver, I've spoken about it in a video earlier.
Whenever we touch the ego, we generally talk about it. Revolver's a good movie.
Revolver's fantastic. It's probably my favourite movie. Jason Stratham.
It's a Guy Ritchie film called Revolver. Jason Stratham, Ray Liotta, a few others.
Good movie.
It's typical Guy Ritchie fare, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, me too. I like the one Memento. That was another good one.
Yeah, Daniel Craig and Layer Cake is another really good one.
Layer Cake. I should download
it's Daniel Craig as he's a chemist that makes cocaine because he wants to make some money and then wants to get out of crime, and they won't let him.
So virtually Breaking Bad.
Not really. It's in a different way.
Anyway, ego.
Yeah.
Revolver.
Yes.
So the whole movie is about the ego, and you don't realize it. And then
it never really says it even at the end.
What?
You just interpret it's about the ego. It doesn't even say.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And unless you figure out what the movie's about, you never actually understand what the movie's about because it's just so.
It's a strange
cryptic.
movie.
Yeah. Oh,
but seriously, check it out, guys.
Check it out, guys. Now that we've told you that it's about the ego, when you watch it, you'll have an understanding of it. And there's always that. During the film, there's a voice, just like a voice inside our head, and it'll say shit like, "There's these two guys. There's a chess master and a master con man. And they've taken Jason Stratham under their wing, and he has to do everything that they say. Otherwise, a bad.
Well, actually, we'll leave it at that. I don't think
well, they have to do everything that he has to
because
say.
It's
a good movie.
It's almost like a Fight Club, you know.
Oh, no, I'm not. Yeah.
Fight Club-esque kind of
mental thing.
Yeah, when you're like, damn.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, you know, you don't even realize.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a massive twist.
But the only thing that I'm going to get into is Arvy says something where he's like, give him the briefcase. And then the mind in the back of the voice in the back of his mind that he doesn't actually say but we hear is like, don't fucking talk to me like that.
Yeah.
Tell him to stick it. Yeah. And then you hear Jason reply saying, shove it or stick it or F you, Arvy, or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. You're not taking my money.
Yeah,
you don't get to do this. Piss off. You're not the boss of me, you arsehole, you piece of shit. And then, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. And then
what's wrong with you? Don't listen to him, man. Don't listen.
Yeah, don't listen.
He's an arsehole. You're strong. Yeah, you're strong. Tell him out. Tell him right now. Yeah. I'm the boss of you. I know what's right. That's
almost exactly how it is.
It's like that.
Slut.
It's like that, to put it.
But then Arvy will reply and he's like, you still listen to that voice that's always been clicking away so much that you think it's you. You know. At the same time, we do the very same thing, don't we?
We do. We do. Honestly, one of the best examples of what the ego is, and it can be useful to you, but only in a furtherance of goal. You've got to keep a leash on your ego.
Oh yeah. You know? We want things because you want to look good. You want to dress up and look nice. You want to be fucking presentable. You want to go out and you want to rock.
Well, it's like when you really build yourself up at the gym. It's not just about I want to be healthy and that. It's just like, man, chicks love to look at me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the reason I used to go to the gym. I used to do bodybuilding because I wanted to look good. But then I'm like, well, I want to be strong. Stuff looking good. You know, that'll come later.
Yeah.
You know? It's a reason why a lot of people get fit. Dude, I work in the fitness industry. Trust me. 80% of the people who are trying to get fit and healthy aren't doing it because they want to be fit and healthy. They're doing it because they want to be sexy.
That's it. I reckon, honestly, the best way to do it is just like, man, I want to throw barrels like Donkey Kong.
Yeah. I was just saying to you before that Donkey Kong has a really good physique. Because like people like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, they put a lot of pressure on their abdominal and even their back because they have a large, wide frame upper body and a tiny little waist that amplifies.
Their upper body's built like a sail. It's like a triangle.
Yeah, and they've got a tiny waist.
It's not functional strength.
Yeah, well, it's not functional strength, you know? And so it can cause herniation of the internal organs around the belly button area.
Well, that's the way they wear a weight belt, so their organs don't get crushed.
Yeah, but if you ever see people like Elliot Holson, strongman trainers, they have a wide chest, they have wide abdominals, but they're still defined abdominals. So it sort of like goes...
They're built like a barrel gorilla.
They're built like Donkey Kong. And I was saying, besides the fact that Donkey Kong has arms 3 times the length of his body...
He's a goddamn gorilla.
He has a strongman physique. And then Scott's like, yeah. That's all this throw barrels and shit. But getting back to the ego. Well, even then that still touches on the ego. Who wants to look like a strongman? We want to go to the beach and have wide, large chest, and we want to have, like, cut abs.
We're not, Vikings anymore. They just want to, I've got a big beard, and I kill men, and all the women love me because I'm the strongest, and I got the gold. Yeah. It doesn't work like that now.
Unfortunately.
Well, no, it still does.
Well, it kind of does.
It still does, but
you've got to have a beard.
It's basically refined versions of the same thing. I've got a cut suit. I've got excellent facial hair. I've done this. Well, I'm the lawyer. I've got the power. Look at me. Look at all the markings of success that I have.
That's
the markings of success are just different.
Yeah, but that's a controlled ego. Maybe. It can be controlled ego.
Good lawyers have to be egotistical.
Oh, yeah, they do. And good people can be egotistical.
Good people in any sales industry generally are arrogant.
Dude, when I get dressed in the morning, half the time I don't give a shit because I'm gonna be going to the gym, working out, and doing whatever, going for a run. It doesn't really matter if I'm wearing a fucking suit. But like when I'm going out to dinner somewhere, I'll wear my nice leather jacket. I'll wear it's beautiful. It's brown leather.
Yeah, it's a good jacket.
Nice, it's a good jacket.
I do like that jacket.
Yeah, so do I. I'll wear my good jeans. I have a pair of dress shoes that I only ever wear when I'm going out to dinner with like friends or a girl or whatever. When I'm around the house, I have work boots. I've had these work boots like 10 years back when I used to be a bricklayer.
Seriously? What brand are they?
Redbacks, I think.
Redbacks were good.
Yeah.
That blue wolf ones are good as well.
Yeah, there's a yellow strip one as well.
Yeah.
they're good. I've still got them. My foot has molded to it so much that they're comfortable now. So whenever I'm working in the yard, I'm going down to the shops or whatever. Briefly, I'll just throw those on. You won't ever catch me wearing boots and shorts though, because my ego wants me to look presentable. So that if I do happen to bump into a beautiful girl or see an old mate from school or whatever, they'll look at me and they'll go, Roy or Will, whatever they happen to call me. Like I've said this before, a lot of people call me Roy. Roy, you look like a filthy hobo.
That's it. I mean, and let's take for example, like I don't like wearing shorts. You know what I mean?
See,
I like
that's the thing. Jeans. I like wearing shorts because I've got nice legs. So that sounds so gay.
Just a bit. You are wearing pink shorts.
Shut up. No, like I run a lot, so I have very large calves, which is very like you don't see that in a guy a lot. So I like to show that off, but my ego wants me to show that off.
But I mean, a lot of it is really, let's say, for example, you're not happy with your legs, so you're always wearing jeans. But naturally, you don't want to think, I'm just wearing jeans because I don't like the way I look. You go, no, actually, I don't like shorts. I've never liked shorts. I like wearing long pants because that's the way I feel comfortable in. And you'll justify it to yourself to protect the idea that you don't want to seem silly.
Because you don't want to admit to yourself, but deep down, you know that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of what the ego seems to do is basically to cover for you.
The ego is amazing. You see, the ego can lie to you, and you know that you're lying to yourself. Well, sorry, let me say that again. You know the ego is lying to you, so you think that you're lying to yourself. You accept that you're lying to yourself, and then don't believe what you already know. Yeah, that is amazing. That is like the perfect entity.
That's it. I mean, a lot of it really is. I mean, a lot of our actual base justifications aren't really what we think we are.
It's sort of like, Scott, I'm going to put you in a really fucked up situation, right? You're probably going to get hurt. But ignore that I've just told you that, and let's pretend that it's all good, yeah?
Yeah, well, that's it, a lot of it. I mean, I think of it slightly differently because I tend to get a bit of a rush out of, high stakes situations in a way. It doesn't really there's no real end goal aside from I enjoy the sensation. I'll find something, but that's not really my prime motivator. So I think the way I would react is a bit different to the way other people would generally react. It's like a lot of really good people in sales are generally a lot of people in high power
positions
are generally psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do that psych test on a lot of businesses as well as business persons, a lot of them don't actually pass the psychological test.
That's it.
Yeah. Like I think it's 90% of businesses are clinically insane.
Yeah, that's it.
Like the way that their practices are followed through.
That's it, yeah. Well, that's it. They're just a lot of people in high-power positions, or, I mean, if you're going to... There's a documentary called The Corporation, which is really interesting. And it goes, okay, these are multinational corporations. Let's give them a psychological test on their practices like they were a person. Yeah, The Corporation's an excellent, excellent thing.
Because that's what I was talking about too.
Yeah. I worked that out halfway through, actually. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of people that are very successful get there because they are not empathetic, because they're not nice people, because they're egotistical, and their ego has driven them to say, no, I'm going to be number one. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to trample on everyone in my way, get to where I need to be. And the ego gets them there. I mean, they may feel hollow inside, but they've got them.
Talk about Breaking Bad, actually.
That's a great example of someone's ego.
Because he starts
and he lies to himself.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to have to spoil it. So, look, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad and you're planning to, skip the next 5 minutes of this video. Okay, let's go. Okay, so at the beginning of the series, Walter White is inverted. He's quiet. He's easily scared. When he sees the police in his rearview mirror, he instantly thinks something's wrong. He pulls over, he starts freaking out and stuff. By the end of season 4, he is a drug lord.
He gives no shits.
He gives no shits. He will kill people. He organizes the death of people in prison within like 2 minutes of each other, just so that he can be okay. His ego is very, very, very activated. But then you see this massive pain body release and transformation. You see, he undergoes something awful. He loses his family. Well, they don't die, but they don't accept him anymore.
Well, he gets what his ego wants, but he ends up being hollow inside.
Yeah, because he gets what his ego wants, but not what he wants.
Well, I mean, ultimately, that's what he wanted. I mean, at the end of the day, you know,
he lied to himself. He said that he was doing it for them.
I'm doing it for them. I'm doing it for the kids. But no, you're really doing it because you've got to rush out of the power.
Yeah, and
because you wanted to be the big shot.
Yeah, and he said it at the end. He was like, "I need you to know that everything that I did." And then his wife's like, "Look, if you tell me if it was for the family one more time," he's like, "I did it for me because I liked it." You know. But like, so what happens is he spends 6 months in a cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
And he's in hiding. He's got no contact to anybody. There's nothing that can boost his ego up anymore. He has a massive pain body release because he has to start dealing with all those emotions.
That's it.
Like he's no longer resisting. He's now yielding to the emotions because there's something else he can do. You know,
his life's rooted.
Yeah, he's got no other choice. And a lot of the time, this is why people who go through emotional crises often come out better for a while because they have that release and that yield. And then he comes back and then he decides to do things right. He's a completely different person. You can see it because the ego is deactivated. You right, Scott?
Yeah, just got a bit of a crick in my throat. There we go.
Well, you better take control of that because you're up.
All right, we're talking about how to combat the ego. Actually, we'll keep talking. Give me a minute. I need to get myself a glass of water.
That is all right. I want to go into disassociation. We're going to talk a little bit about disassociating yourself from your ego. I'm going to pause this. Just give me a sec.
All right, guys, we're back. I'm no longer choking.
I have my first aid certificate. Okay, so we're going to talk about disassociating yourself from the ego. Eckhart Tolle says, bring yourself into the present moment, and the ego seems to dissipate. And you can bring yourself into the present moment by breathing. And as you were saying before, feel the air as it fills your lungs.
Yeah. Almost be like a kid with this. I mean, one of the great things about kids sort of having fun is they're always in the present moment. They don't understand longer moments. And as you're an adult, you're like, okay, I've got to get to work today because I've got to earn money to pay the bills so I can pay off this student loan so I, using that, can get a job that I might enjoy myself in 5 years. There's never the present moment. This enjoyment moment never comes. It's always in the future. I will enjoy myself in the future.
Yeah.
I will enjoy myself when I get off work. I will enjoy myself when it gets a weekend. I'll enjoy myself when I get annual leave in 6 months. Really, all these moments are being wasted. You have to enjoy yourself now. You have to feel the present moment. And
I mean, you can hate your job, but sit there at your job and breathe.
Yeah, and it'll feel better.
And feel your hands as you wash them. Look out the window every now and then and just look at the sun. And just appreciate the fact that you are not chained up in a hole somewhere.
You're not a rat in a race. You're not someone that has to be big and impressive to have worth. You have worth. You have worth already.
The last two rats.
Huh?
I don't know. Let's keep going. I had a thought and I lost it.
Okay, perfectly fine.
Sorry, I've completely thrown you.
No, that's fine. I'm just wondering, for example, why we need to disassociate from the ego. I mean, what's the problem with having a big ego and setting a goal?
The ego brings up all the like the.
I'm devil's advocate.
Yeah, I know. You're perfectly aware of what's going on, but you're putting it to me. So look at the lady. Sorry, the kid whose mother was off. Like, okay, this is what the situation that you said before.
Mm-hmm.
The kid and the mum goes off sleeping with people. The child never gets love. The child grows up to hate women.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to break it down. All right, so the woman is going off. She's sleeping with all these men because she feels insecure about herself.
That's it. It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. Now she's feeling insecure about herself because of something the ego's told her that she deserves a certain thing that she didn't get. So now she's trying to make herself feel good by sleeping with men. To make herself feel attractive, to make her feel good.
It might even be worse than that. She might feel that she is worthless because people have told her she's been worthless and she never receives love. So she's going out and sleeping around to punish herself.
Or even then, remember, the ego isn't necessarily a thing of arrogance. The ego can attach itself to things that not being good enough either.
Yeah.
So maybe the ego is attached to her in a way where it's like, well, I'm not good enough. I need to sleep with men, as many men as I can find, just to even out this not good feeling.
Yeah, just to make myself feel valued for it. Or even like small dog syndrome. You're a small dude, and the moment someone calls you out, that makes you feel like you're not a big man, that you're not tall enough.
Because
you
the
react
ego's
violently
accepted
to
that you're small.
Yeah, you're violent. You're deathly afraid of being hurt. You're deathly afraid of being caught on your faults. So you puff up and try to protect yourself from those faults by pushing it onto other people.
Yeah. I don't think ego in the little child is like, well, my mum's doing all these awful things. She's never around. Grows up to be a teenager. Mum's never around. Mum never took care of me as a kid.
It's all her fault. I'm feeling bad. Bitch.
F mum. Mum's a bitch. Why didn't mum fucking hug me? And then you go to your friend's place or your boyfriend's place or your girlfriend's place and you see that their mum's doing all these. She's baking cookies and shit like that. You know? My mum never made me cookies because I had to become my own person. I had to raise myself and my sisters. All this. It's thick of insecurity and ego feeds off insecurity like crazy, dude. Like, if you like,
I mean, it doesn't help either. I mean, you can't help it having an ego or feeling insecure in modern day society. Everything's trying to push. Feel terrible, buy this cologne. Feel terrible, you need a big car. Feel terrible, your penis isn't 12 inches, so therefore you need pills. You know.
Men don't last long enough in bed. Women aren't being happy. Take this thing you put under your tongue to last longer.
You're not skinny enough. You need a man with lots of money, you know?
Yeah, that's it, you know? And
it's awful.
Shit, I had a really good point and I forgot. I hate it when that happens.
Well, I mean, the modern world, especially the Western world, pretty much the idea is to make you egotistical so you buy their things.
Yeah.
But really, and egos are only really useful for certain things, you know? If you just want to say, stuff this, I'm going to be the best because that's where I really want to be in life. Use the ego to get you there.
Yeah,
you know, stuff it. I'm not done yet. I want to keep going.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. The more aware that I become of my own ego, the more aware I become of other people's egos.
That's it. And realize that it's not them talking; it's their insecurity talking when they attack you.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Oh,
so, was that sarcasm?
No, I was being serious.
Oh, okay.
I was glad I preempted you in the sense that I'm glad that we're on the same wavelength.
Oh, we're on the very same vibration level.
Excellent.
And was that?
It sounded a bit weird.
Was that sarcastic? Yeah.
No, the wonderful was a bit. It sounded a bit gay. To be
perfect. That was sarcastic.
You're not very good at this.
Yeah. So because the more and more often that you disassociate with your ego, someone will come up to you and they'll be like, Scott, stop fucking playing with that goatee. You look like you got these stupid ringlets coming out the side of your head. Man. You look like a retard.
Tell me about it. It's been killing me.
Yeah, you know. So like, you can disassociate. Okay. You know that I'm not having a attack at you. I'm feeling insecure. I'm taking out my shit on you because I want to feel better about myself.
That's the thing. I mean, that's why I don't tend to get angry at people in general because I realize
you had your car stolen last night, and you.
Oh, Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday night. Yeah. And you are really calm about it. Like, if it was me, I'd be screaming my head off.
Oh, well, my car, let's say, for example, my car was stolen. I'm started a new job this week. I'm moving house in 2 weeks. This is the time where I most need my car.
Yeah.
Someone's just stolen it randomly. And not only that, the police have had a glitch on their system, which means they can't follow it up properly.
You get bad luck in threes, dude.
Oh, tell me about it.
You better check yourself out for testicle cancer.
I already have.
What? I'm guessing you're kidding.
No, actually. I actually had a test around that general area for something unrelated a couple of years ago.
So you don't have testicular
cancer? As
cancer?
far as I know.
Maybe I should get myself checked out.
It's important to take care of your prostate health. Not that it was a prostate problem. But anyway, guys, this is too much information.
Yeah, no shit.
Let's just pull it back.
Pull it back. Maybe you do that in the first place. You wouldn't be having this problem. Ooh. Woo, that was a good call.
All right, guys, everyone needs a 12-inch penis and to have everything they ever wanted. That's the ego.
All right, I think we're done. No. Are we done?
Oh, we had some other point, but we stopped it.
Yeah, we stopped because we were talking about testicles. And how you didn't pull out? Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm good.
Yeah. Avoid that issue.
That's right. That was so yeah, we're gonna wrap up tonight.
But really, guys, I mean,
I'm good. I'll stop.
But Anyway, guys, the way it is obviously that people come from trying to protect themselves by pushing their ego, and often when people getting angry at you, getting mad at you, often it's not them inside deeply getting mad at you. It's just them feeling insecure and unhappy about a situation, and you just happen to be the person nearby to vent on.
Yeah, you're the next outlet for their ego.
That's
and pain
it.
Body.
You know, they're trying to release their pain, so they release it in an angry way at you. Often the best way to diffuse a situation like that is to just not get angry back.
Remember, silence is the best response to a pain body. And like you can feel yourself getting angry.
Depending. Sometimes they'll interpret the silence as you insulting them and react aggressively. But often the best way is just to calmly diffuse the situation by just not allowing yourself to be offended.
You know what, like...
The best way I found is to look at from... Was it Aristotle or Plato?
I don't know. You haven't even told me
the idea is under the eyes of the universe.
Oh, Plato.
Plato. It's a Latin phrase I can't recall now.
Nah, I've lost it.
Yeah. That basically
we
means...
talked about this in another video.
We did, yeah.
Zoom out.
It was just basically in the scheme of things. Okay, I'm feeling insecure. I need to have the beach body for summer. I need to look good. I need to do this. Now, if that's the goal you want to go for it. But if it's just you doing that so you don't feel insecure, well, maybe you need to rethink your priorities and where you would like to go and then go for it.
Yeah, because doing it often does not stop the insecurity.
That's
Accepting it stops the insecurity. Yielding stops the insecurity.
Now, at the end of the day, under the eyes of the universe, we're on the planet Earth. We're orbiting a sun in a remote corner of the Milky Way. It's been around for 7 billion years. It's going to be around for another 7 billion years. What does it matter if you've shaved 2 kilos off of the beach?
Another way that Plato put it, that Mark Rowlands interpreted, was you close your eyes and you go into a meditative state, and then you visualize yourself from a bird's eye view. So I can see this room from up here. I see you sitting there and me sitting there, and then I zoom out. And then I see the house. And then I see the land.
Yeah.
And then I see the street. And then I see the suburb. And then I see the city. And then I see the state. And then I keep zooming out more, like you Google Earth coming out of that thingy. And then eventually you see the planet. And then the planet shrinks into a dot, and then you see the Milky Way. And then the Milky Way shrinks into a dot, and you see these beautiful galaxies and all these different, like, sky auras and shit like that.
Yeah.
Until you come to, like, this whole, like, everything that you've just witnessed is a tiny little black dot. And then you open your eyes, you're like, well, does all this shit that I was just thinking about fucking matter?
That's it, man. It's a big, beautiful universe. What do I care if some asshole just cut me off the light?
Yeah. Obviously, you shouldn't do this while you're driving.
Unless you're completely insane with a perfect driving record.
And don't have a problem with dying.
Yeah, really. Under the eyes of the universe, a car accident involving you is still not good.
Yeah, and you dying still affects you in some way. So that's that. Disassociate from the ego so that you don't fall into that insecurity place, that place of insecurity. And like, oh yeah, when someone's being angry at you, take 3 deep breaths, and you'll feel the anger inside you, but it won't be you.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It'll be you reacting explosively to their anger, and you'll just feed the fires. And it'll just make more anger in the situation.
Because the anger attaches itself to to your pain body, which attaches itself to you, and then when you breathe deeply, it deassociates. So you can feel the pain body and the anger like a shadow directly behind your thoughts, but you are in control of your thoughts then.
That's it.
It's hard to explain. Just do it. Next time someone's screaming at your face, or the next time you get really angry, take those 3 deep breaths and feel your emotions, and then suddenly it'll become very apparent that your anger is like over here right next to you, like shadowing your mind.
Think about where you're justified in feeling angry.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can physically feel the disassociation within you. And then eventually that gap becomes more and more and more until eventually, some guys killed your dog and you're like Zen Buddha going, ooh, this not good, So,
I mean, you'll still probably blow them away. But...
I would.
Yeah.
I would. I'm not going to lie, I talk about
I could be Zen as all hell. I could not even be mad that he killed my dog. I'm still going to do it.
Yeah. I find you're a very calm person, Scott, but I find once you hit that line, you go fucking completely crazy. You shit the fucking...
It's the Scottish blood.
Yeah.
The Scottish blood.
Well, I'm Italian, Spanish, and French, so I'm emotional as all hell.
I think I'm Scottish, Irish, English, and Welsh, so You know, I glass people when I get mad.
Yeah, no shit.
At least going by the
heritage.
The heritage of glass spontaneously appears in my hand.
Well, what were we saying?
Well, we're wrapping it up, but now we're talking about our ethnic ancestry.
Yeah, but there was a reason behind it.
I don't get mad.
Oh yeah.
But when I do, I get very mad.
So I can't always disassociate. You know, sometimes sometimes I lose the path, and someone will go, "Hey, Will, what are you doing? Come on!" And then I'll be like, "Oh yeah," and then things will be okay again. You know, sometimes I get upset.
I think it's important in that direction to have friends that help advance you along your own path.
Well, yeah, like okay, I used to hang out with a group of friends, and all they did was they went out partying and drinking, and they did drugs all the time, stuff like that. Hey, look, I got no problem with drugs, but I don't do drugs. In fact, I barely even drink anymore. I'm the sort of person who goes out to parties and who doesn't need.
You don't need.
Like if you've ever met me in person, you'll know that I'm pretty energetic and I don't really need alcohol. And if you've ever seen me smash drunk, it's
hilarious.
Shut up.
See, no, that's your act. That's your
yeah.
That's you attempting to defend yourself.
Shut up.
See, you're still doing it.
Okay, stop.
Okay, now I will stop being arrogant by responding with my ego. We will both take a couple of breaths. I'll realise that I was egging you on for my own self-gratification using my ego. You realise you were.
I don't appreciate that tone of voice.
I'm trying my best. I can't fully disassociate here.
So you are doing it on purpose?
No, I'm trying not to.
You're doing it now.
I
know what you're doing. You're smiling.
I'm trying not to. Right, I only took 2 deep breaths.
I took 3. But you kept smiling at me, so... Okay. Here he goes.
Okay. Now, I was approaching it from a bad place. I was being egotistical.
I wasn't actually angry.
I know. Shut up and let me talk.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay, look, I understand that you're angry.
I'm going to prod you in the face.
I understand that you're angry, but you need to take some... Stop! I think we both need to calm down a bit.
No. Well, enough.
I think we've made all the points we need to make.
Yeah, we've talked enough, guys. Watch Revolver. We're adding a few other things. It's all good. It's the ego. Use it well. Don't use it in a bad way.
And remember to pull out.
Yeah, seriously, do that.
All right. We're done. Catches.
Catcha.